Knew it was odd.
We're good. All right. Marissa, do we have any community comments?
We do not.
All right. Moving on to reports and committee schedules. From tomorrow until the end of this week is the NISBA virtual convention. We talked about meeting tomorrow morning. Is anyone gonna be able to do that? What time did we say?
8:30, I believe it kicks off, correct? Yes.
I'm gonna watch it at work.
Anybody coming in to watch
You
it?
working?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see where my kids are at.
I'm probably coming in. Technology is not. my
Okay.
forte. Somebody's gotta help me. Okay.
Do you want to do it right?
We'll do it in here yet. If you can, we have Nick set that up. Yeah.
Okay. October 28th, facility planning. Ann, did you have anything to add for the facility from the previous month or anything coming up?
Patty would know better than I about anything that's happened since that meeting, which was actually a month ago, and we have another one on
Okay.
Wednesday.
So we met with Uber Construction, who is doing the art gallery space, and they feel that we can get the same flooring in terrazzo, like the same look out of terrazzo, as we could out of the laminate that we were going to use. So if you remember, we were going to put what amounted to a really large, very beautiful sticker on the floor, and then we were going to seal it. But we really didn't know what the lifespan of that was going to be, and we know that the lifespan of terrazzo is really almost forever.
I don't want to confuse you. Terrazzo is a concrete product. This is an epoxy product that
Right,
they
so
use now.
Right, so it's still terrazzo, but it's an epoxy
Correct.
terrazzo, but it's exactly what we have in the last project when we did the athletic one.
Okay.
So it's that quality of floor, and it would be from the same distributor actually. So they brought some samples over, and we had the art teachers look at them, and they're quite pleased with the look. We just want to make sure we can get the amount of color we want. So Paul Feathers is working on that. Otherwise, for the larger capital project, the 1725, we're on track. They're working on the design, and then we got the first draft of the costs in, and they're going to continue like narrowing the scope to make sure we can get the pricing together, so we can get it to SED. So we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. on that.
Surprisingly, though, we're not that far over, which is not bad.
Okay.
Because what's currently here right now is Cadillac. You know, when architects design, they generally design Cadillac, and we oftentimes end up with Chevrolet, which is nothing wrong with that.
They're very fun cars.
I drive one myself.
There you go. PTSA meeting on the October 28th. Danielle, virtual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's our first general meeting of the year. We have to approve new bylaws, and then we're finalizing the fund, spending last year's fund run money for the IEC. So that'll be good to get that money in the school.
Danielle, I'm supposed to attend that with you.
Oh, fabulous.
I'm supposed to be on a committee.
Okay.
If it's virtual, could you explain to me after the meeting how to get there?
Yes, I will send you the link and I will explain it to you. It
Okay.
actually, it looks like it's a Google Meet
Mm-hmm.
instead of a Zoom. I have not personally participated in a Google Meet. My children have, but
Well,
I'm
I'll attend.
sure. Yeah.
Did you get a calendar invite for that?
No.
Okay, when you get your calendar invite, you'll see Google Meet. You can click on that. It should take you right there, but
I should be able to forward her that calendar.
I think
meet
so.
Invitation. Okay.
Yeah.
I have it here. I don't have I don't know if I do or I don't have the capability to do that.
Oh, I don't know if I do either. I'm not the owner of it.
Hold on, let me.
It's Virginia. Virginia's the owner.
Yeah.
There's only 4 yes. It's only 4 people have responded.
We need 10 people there to have a quorum to approve the bylaws. so-
She's invited 27 people and and only 4 have responded.
Yeah, so.
Myself being one.
All right. Policy Review Committee.
That is before the next work session. We've got, we're in the process of, most everything now is reviewing what we've, are probably 2 years old in review policies. And you'll see in the first reads that a lot of them have no changes. But we'll just be plodding along into the next section of policy.
Would this be an appropriate time to ask a question about that?
Sure.
In looking at the first reads on the conduct statements, there's no, I don't know if there should be, but would we want to connect to DASA, the Dignity for All Students Act? Would we want to refer to that at all within those conduct?
That's in there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
It
No,
might
it may
be, it might be, so in a lot of the policies, you'll see at the end
Okay,
that we refer to any legal requirements and laws.
okay, so
and
it's
things
at the
in there.
bottom? All right,
It certainly, it rings a bell with me and I wouldn't have known about it
okay.
had we not been doing that, but it might be in a different section.
But see, I was looking for it probably more in the body of the document as opposed to footnotes. But that's all right,
Yeah.
if that, just as long as it's. in
We'll
there.
look at that.
7310 you're speaking specifically of, I think. That's school conduct and
Yeah.
discipline.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll take a look. I believe it's referenced at the bottom, Charlotte. But we'll take a look.
Well, I guess the reason I'm questioning it being in there is because it adds more oomph.
We actually, isn't there is there's a policy around DASA.
It seems so, although I don't know where it would be.
Yeah, I think it's under, the 8,000s maybe?
It is a first read, so we will look into it, and if
Okay.
it needs to be added, we can add it.
I will
It
say,
does refer to 3410, which is code of conduct on school property, so it might be mentioned in there,
Mhm.
and then it refers to the commissioner's regulations.
Okay.
So,
And another question, should we be, with the virtual learning that's going on, I saw stuff in terms of computer use for personal use and those things. But with the instructional model being there, should we be addressing that?
We did.
Disruptions within an instructional model?
There are two new policies for remote, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Are they on the second reads now?
Remote
Didn't we
learning
approve-
and 7150 is remote learning.
Yes, and they're discussed there. I think you're approving those tonight.
Yeah.
and then also the changes to the code of conduct this year, we're adding the verbiage to extend the code of conduct that would
To the
normally
remote
be
environment.
right into the virtual environment as well. And then I think that too overlaps with the technology
Correct.
usage that's
Acceptable AUP.
acceptable. Thank you. And I'm trying to, I think that might be on 3410, that actually references DASA, yeah. Because you'll often see with the policies, anything that refers to educational law, either state or federal, is usually listed at the bottom as like a reference.
Okay.
But I think that's what it is, except as it's cross-referencing back to another one, you'd have to go back to that. And there was, when we did the whole review of policy, both the policy review and the policy and procedures review, some of that language directly from it may have been in that policy when we did the review now 3 years ago, a couple of years ago, making them look very wordy. So some of that actual language was taken out and just referred right back to law, because some of it doesn't need to be necessarily in the policy manual if it's actual law.
Mhm.
So just referring to it kind of covers that. But a lot of times you'll still find that language is still in some of the policies, and especially in the code of conduct. When you refer back to the code of conduct, a lot of that language is left in, just so that it is very clear, when people are referring to it. All right, any other policy questions? Okay. Our next work session will be November the 9th. Can't believe we're already to November. Special Education Committee meeting on November 19th. Jen, Danielle, does you want to add anything about special education?
No, I mean, I know there were some things in the works.
We're about to report out to you on that. So we are moving forward with our special education audit. We've got an outside group that's going to be coming in and working with us. And actually, Heather and I are meeting with them on Thursday morning. And we will be having you approve their contract on the 9th. And then we'll be discussing that with you on the 19th. And that'll be a key piece to it. But the initial questions that we had at our first special education committee meeting have led to a larger review of our entire K-12 program that we will then be having a significant report out to the Board of Education in the spring.
Okay.
What does the audit what does that contain? Like,
Well, it's significant and it's detailed. It's going to be a group from Niagara University will be doing the study. There'll be, much like we did with the strategic plan, there'll be empathy interviews, there'll be on-site push-in meetings, there'll be interviewing parents, teachers. It's an entire cross-section. We are going to be meeting Thursday. I wanted to just get a fuller detail on what that's going to look like. But I'm very excited about the prospects.
yeah.
I think the marching orders were, quote, soup to nuts.
I think I did say that, yes. I told them I wanted a full and comprehensive
Go
look.
big or go home.
I wanted a full and comprehensive look. I wanted in comparison to like districts, but also I wanted to know what's cutting edge in the field right now. From, to make that link between university research on exceptional education and what's current, so soup to nuts. Which I've never had nuts for dessert, but
It's European.
I guess.
We're American. Marissa will bring cake. It'll be
But we never had nuts. Did you ever have nuts? We never had nuts for dessert.
No, you had dessert and then you had the big meat platter, right?
Yeah, but you never, soup, I don't know where that came from, soup to nuts.
Maybe like a cheese plate.
Europeans.
All right, never mind.
Cheese and nuts.
Cheese and nuts and,
always walnuts. We had walnuts.
yeah, but I'm saying it not as dessert, not with my coffee. Right, but when you're saying soup to nuts, I'm assuming you're going from the soup to the dessert, All right, never mind. It's probably not appropriate for a board meeting, but where do they come up with that soup to nuts? I don't know.
I was gonna say, look this up, we need to know now.
Sorry, I digress.
Dr. Lyon. will bring it.
Goes back to the Middle Ages.
Oh, there you go. Soup to nuts, that's what we're gonna get.
And dessert was nuts.
Dessert.
That's what it says.
Okay, does anyone have anything else to add on?
Maybe they were like
Nuts.
those caramelized pecans.
I think it
Those
was.
are delicious.
They
Yeah.
are delicious.
Is
Oh,
it the
they're
cinnamon?
They're addictive.
Our next regular Board of Education meeting will be November 23rd. And then facilities will meet again on December 2nd.
Now, that meeting was moved because it was during our Thanksgiving break, so we moved it to the 2nd.
Okay.
And we removed a later one. So that you're aware of that.
Okay. Administrative reports. They were submitted by our building leadership. So we will move on to people lucky enough to be with us this evening. Dr. Heather Lyon.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to share out a couple of things that are in the works that you may have already heard about or will be hearing about, including I shared with you that we're pursuing this Seal of Biliteracy for our graduates. So I just want to clarify, being biliterate does not mean that you are fully bilingual. So it's not that our students have to meet that threshold. But it's a really exciting opportunity and one that other districts have started to take advantage of. So we're excited to start to take advantage of it too. And so we have already identified students who would qualify for that. And so part of what it requires is demonstrating literacy in the target language, whatever that second language is, and English. The interesting thing is that it was designed to be a way of demonstrating to bilingual, so people whose first language isn't English language learners. It was a thing that was designed that was supposed to be to highlight their dual language capabilities. So the threshold is actually higher for speaking English than for speaking the second language, because the thought was that these students would be learning English. So I'm really excited and look for come graduation this year that we will, I anticipate that we will have students who are earning for the first time the seal of biliteracy in Newport. Also, I want to share with you that we are hard at work making sure that the report cards, because it's almost time for report cards for our secondary students. So we're in a unique position this year because of our remote learners and also because our remote program is unique. So most districts who, with their remote students, if they have both hybrid and remote, the remote students are doing nothing more than tuning in and watching instruction take place. So they're following along on their computers for the full day, going from class to class. I think what we're doing is superior to that model because our students have something that is specially designed for them, and we are not requiring them to be tethered to a device for the duration of the school day, which I don't think is a healthy thing to ask anybody to do. So by any means, Apex doesn't necessarily talk to Power School. So we are behind the scenes working on ensuring that we can get that information into Power School. The challenge is that, again, we're doing something that's never needed to be done before. So we're figuring this out. And I just want you to know that the PLC model, the idea that multiple people are coming together to work on what's best for teaching and learning is happening at the administrative level and at the teacher level. So myself, Mr. Auer, Mr. Rolls, Mr. Hill, we're all collaborating to make that come to fruition in a way that supports our families, because our families are really the audience of a report card. At the same time, then we have at the elementary level, they have a 13-week marking period. So, and they're providing the instruction, but again, it's not the same thing as what the kids on campus and how that would look. So we're working on that to make sure that our families are going to get information about their child that's important to know. Now, I'm looking at Danielle because about 2 years ago, she and I were on the PEC report card revision committee. And one of the things that we talked about, that committee talked about repeatedly, was the importance of a narrative for our families. And we changed the key on that report card. And on that report card, it's on a 1 to 4 scale. It was already like that. But we added terms like, at a level 1, you are in need of teacher support in order to be successful. Or I'm sorry, that's level 2. At a level 1 is even with teacher support, you are still not successful. So the conversation that has been had with the remote teachers at the elementary level is, how do you know to what extent the family is helping that student and you don't? So we had to make some modifications and whatnot. So I'm just keeping keeping you abreast and the community abreast as to these really important conversations that we're having that honestly, we've never needed to have in this way before. And so those are two of the important highlights. Mr. Passeri, will you be talking about strategic planning? Do you want me to mention anything about that?
I mentioned it prior,
Okay.
but certainly I mentioned if you want to dig a little deeper into what's happening on November 16th.
So on November 16th, we are having a reconstitution of the strategic planning steering committee. This will be our first meeting of the school year. Mr. Passeri and I had a meeting already with Dana Britt, and because Dana is pregnant, we are having, I know, right? She's due in December. So we are also having a new consultant with Education Elements who will be joining us. And so the biggest challenge, honestly, that we're facing right now with the strategic plan is how do you ensure that people understand our long-term goals? Well, at the same time, how do we show that we understand short-term needs that people have that may be more immediate than a long-term goal? And of course, when we were planning the strategic plan, that committee could have never dreamed of what we're experiencing right now. And yet, I will say that, you know, we talked to the three pillars, although they're not just, we didn't name them pillars, I don't think. But
Goal areas.
the three goal areas are defining what a successful learner looks like in Newport, innovative teaching environment, and climate and culture. And I think those three things are still just as important right now, even in the swirl of all this, as they ever have been. And I'm really grateful for the climate and culture that we have had as a district during all of this tumult, because I think it shows what a strong district we have. So normally during this month and next month, I would be presenting on student outcomes from last school year. Next month, I actually am going to share out our Ames Web results across the district. So I look forward to being able to share that with you and then make a connection to that information and the strategic plan, thinking about how do we define student success. Before I finish, oh wait, did you want to say something?
No.
Before I finish, I just want to read off the catches from last month. So the last person caught that I shared out was Yocasta, and she caught the middle school special stats teacher, John Hoover. She said, John makes sure to modify his lessons so that our 12-1-1 students are able to learn, shine, and succeed at their own speed and level. John Hoover makes sure all students are engaged and feel included in all classroom activities. As a teacher aide with the special education department, this is something I appreciate very much. Thank you. John went on to catch Mark Wakel. He said, during these unprecedented and confusing times, he has adjusted and adapted his curriculum to fit the needs of all students. For his tireless efforts contributing to the education of our youth, I nominate Mark Wakel. Mark taught Justin Hayes. He said, Justin is an innovator and works tirelessly to reach every one of his students. He constantly researches and implements cutting-edge ideas and shares the information with all PE colleagues. And finally, Justin taught Dan Parker. Dan is a member of the custodial staff at the PEC. He, along with the entire custodial team, have done an incredible job keeping our building clean and safe. Dan goes out of his way to coordinate with colleagues to be as efficient as possible. He is constantly on the move throughout the day, and other teachers have noticed the attention to detail in his work. We are lucky to have Dan at the PEC. So congratulations to this month's catches.
All right, thank you. Dr. Bronca.
Well, you saw in Mr. Passeri's letters that we had our COVID testing last week, and that was a tremendous success. I can't say enough about the support we received from all of our unions and the Newport team. We had a total of 118 tests that we did. 109 were actually Newport employees. We did have some non-pubs, and we had our Y program, we offered it to them as well. So 109 employees, all negative. So that says a lot about the safety of our schools and our buildings and how seriously everyone is taking the health and wellness of the buildings. That being said, hats off to all of our custodial staff. They've done a great job. We've shifted our custodians and have more cleaners on days than we've ever had. And it really has made a difference in how the buildings look and how we're keeping them up during the day. I've been meeting weekly with our nurses, and I've been talking daily to the Department of Health, the Niagara County Department of Health, just trying to get through different situations as they come up. The nurses, really enjoy talking to each other and having a meeting together to make sure everyone's on the same page with how they're approaching, student illnesses and returns. That being said, that's gone very well. SED, we've been faced with some new regulatory reports. I filed 2 new reports today. It's gone well so far. I'm waiting to receive the building condition survey back from Troutman. That's the report where they go through every building top to bottom and tell us what is in need of repair. And they kind of go through different items and give you lifespans. I started our 5-year plan, and for those of you who haven't lived through that, it's a 5-year plan that focuses on revenue appropriation and reserves, and then there is a piece of it that is a 5-year facilities plan. So I have the revenue appropriations and reserve piece ready. Mr. Casera and I are going to meet to talk about that first before we present it to the board. I wanted to hold on to do the facilities piece until after the 5-year building condition survey is done, because that really should inform the work that we do moving forward.
When are we expecting that?
He didn't, he says he's got it done, but he didn't give me a date for meeting yet. So I have that email in time, actually. Today I received new regulations for the CARES Act funding. So if you remember at budget time, they took some money away from our foundation aid and moved it into, and they supplanted it with CARES money. And then said we had 3 methods by which we could share it with the non-pubs. That has gone away. So now there is 1 method by which we can share it with our non-pub friends. And it means that we will probably be giving them a little bit more because it's going to be a Title I by student poverty ratio. So I don't have those numbers yet, but I will be working on that. I met last week with Tim Pelly from FEMA. I will be meeting with him again Thursday to really talk about the final touches and making sure that we have everything in place, including timelines, so that we can get as much out of FEMA as we possibly can. Although they're saying anything associated with reopening will not count. So, that's most of our purchases. I am making the argument, however, that we never really closed because we were both a daycare and a food provider. I have Abley coming in this Thursday, Abley Insurance Company. They handle our Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They're going to give us our annual update, and that's about it for now.
Really, that's it?
Yes.
Couple of things you're working on. All right, Mr. Caseri.
Nothing more to add. You've had a chance to see my weekly message on Friday, which really captured kind of where we're at. I did want to, again, say to the Board of Education, today is Board of Education Recognition Month. And so you have some tokens of our appreciation that we were able to get to you, but I do appreciate very much the work that you do and working with you on behalf of our school community and the students to make all of this happen. Especially want to thank you all for your diligence and support during the closure last year into the reopening this year. You've been excellent critical friends, and we as leaders, we need to have that so that there are watchful eyes making sure that we're being responsive to the needs of our community. And you are elected by the community to represent the community in the education of the children of the community. So it's essential that you do offer that feedback to us. And I hope that you feel the ability to do that. And more importantly, that we're being responsive to you with regard to questions, comments, concerns that you may have regarding the reopening. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Speaking for the board, we feel appreciated. Thank you.
Good. No, you're welcome.
I was thinking Board Appreciation Day, kind of like Mother's Day. It's like, we're appreciated every day.
It's
Aren't we?
true. That's true.
All the mothers around the table. And so that's exactly what I need.
Would that be the Mother's Day when we have to get up, get all the kids ready to go out to
That
dinner?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
That's the one.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so recognitions, I guess that was our Board of Education
It was.
Appreciation.
It was.
Recognition. We'd also like to recognize the family of Katie Foley for the donation of art supplies to our art department, some potter's wheels and art supplies. Katie passed away not this past summer, the summer before. She was a very talented artist, just a wonderful woman. It really warmed my heart to see that Pat and the children felt that some of the things that she really used and treasured had a home here at Lewiston-Porter. I knew Katie. I went to her funeral. It was really an incredibly moving and personal moment for her. Really, and at her funeral, it was really centered around her art and her pottery and her love of not only art, but how she extended it out to children and to the community, and how she used that to heal and to help people. So when I saw this donation, I really thought that this is a really fitting legacy to the woman that she was. So with that, I would like to extend our gratitude for her family making this donation. And we will accept it later on in our meeting. So if any of the Foleys are they on? But I just want to tell them thank you.
Well, we do thank them very much. And it's a
Yeah.
very sad moment at the same time where it's, that she's able to continue that legacy here at Lewiston-Porter. An opportunity to be this principal for a number of her children. They're all just excellent kids. So.
Yeah. So definitely her love for the arts will live on through this donation. So, okay. Member comments. Anwar.
Yeah, and I'm up top. I would like to recognize the efforts across all the departments to basically continue on, and mostly the families and students. I know it's been difficult figuring out whether being remote or part of the folks who are part-time on campus, and the understanding about the needs of your kids and your students, and going back and forth between the different models. I can't even imagine how stressful it is for the families to try and sort out what's best for their kids. And I appreciate their dedication to their kids. And also their understanding around the issue of not having athletics be what it should be. That's another thing I can't imagine, is being a person, particularly a young person whose focus has been on movement and competition and the spirit that comes with that, to not be able to participate in that has got to be a challenge. So just giving a little hats off to our students and families working through this time, which none of us seem to have any control over, but you guys are doing an excellent job of trying to control what we can. Put that much out.
Thank you. Betty.
Ditto what Ann said. I think everyone's doing a great job. It's, we're not just running 2 models of school, but really 3 cohorts right now, right? They got 2 hybrid classes and the remote students, and it's just, there's so many moving parts, so much going on. I do want to say about the administrators' reports, I really enjoy the way they've gone to the link to the whole newsletter, so we get, you can read as much as or as little as you want of that, but I really enjoy reading those, and so there's an awful lot going on in all the buildings. Thank you for the appreciation, and
Great, Gemma.
Everything that Ann and Betty have just said, I basically was gonna say the same. It's just like, it was a challenging time, the two, learning models, and today during our wellness committee, saying how the kids are reacting, but everything that Lewiston-Porter is doing, you guys are doing it right, and always trying to think of the kids first, so thank you for everything.
Thank you. Charlotte.
Again, everybody has said things that I agree with. I'd also like to comment on the extracurricular activities and the push to get them started, and how important that is to the students and families. Additionally, I think that, when we talk about the emotional component of what's going on, I think if we can, as a district, move to the class advisors having some activities that are more social than just academic, I think that'll support support the kids in some of the difficulties they're having. So I'm glad to hear that there's a movement that way.
Thank you. Jennifer.
I just also want to say thank you to all the teachers and staffs that did put themselves out there taking the COVID test. It's really, as a parent, I'm very appreciative that they took their time. It was a risky situation for anybody, to even put yourselves out there. So I really appreciate that. And again, I agree with what everyone said tonight. Everybody's doing their best to keep us going.
Danielle.
Second, I got nothing to add.
Definitely, I think we're all on the same page, and this has been extremely difficult for everyone, and I think everyone has really risen to the occasion. And what I have been most impressed with is just the flexibility on everyone's part to recognize, okay, we didn't even imagine that this was going to be an issue, or we had this in mind, but this really isn't working, so we're going to do this. It just seems that everyone is approaching this year with that amount of flexibility, and also that amount of respect for everyone. When you hear that something isn't working, or you find an opportunity to make it better, I mean, everyone is just stepping right up to that. So we know that this won't last forever, but we really don't know how long it's going to last. And I just think that everyone is moving forward and just supporting everyone as much as they possibly can when they realize that they need to. So I have been, like I said, very impressed by that, and also very appreciative of it.
one more thing I forgot to mention.
I'm sorry, your time was up, Ms. Ward.
I'm sorry, but I really want to recognize the new art.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it looks nice. Thank you, Patty. Got that over here from Cindy Sanchez. That's
It's
nice.
really cool.
And you can't see the one over there.
there's one over
There's
there?
like a, yeah, we've got like
Oh,
a
I
card.
see.
We've got a card.
I'm gonna have to take a tour.
Thank you. And Cindy, wherever you are,
I'm a student who took on students who didn't.
were these from last year?
Those were some that got left behind that the students never picked up, and I can't believe they didn't pick them up. They're beautiful.
They really are
Wow.
cool.
we get to keep them?
Until they show up.
I see them on TV and go, "That's all they do."
Hey, that's fine. All right, at this point, then we'll move on. Does anyone need to take a quick break? Or are we good just to keep going?
Let's go.
All right. District operations, I'd like to move to approve M1, minutes from our September 28th regular board meeting, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
If everybody seconds, do I have to call for a vote? Just kidding. All in favor, yes. Okay. I'd like to move to approve M2, minutes from our October 5th regular board meeting work session, if I may have a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes? Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve our consent agenda for financial operations, NF1 through NF5, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes? Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move, skipping over old business since we have none, to new business. And I washed this mask and I swear it shrank and it feels like I'm eating it when I'm talking. So if I'm stopping, that's why I'm eating my mask. I'd like to move to approve NA1, policy revision acceptance of the first reading as listed. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve NA2, policy revision acceptance of the second reading. If I may have a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Now nobody's seconding because they're all.
I know.
I swear everyone seconded. Yes. Any opposed? So carried. I would like to move to approve NA3, approval of the acceptance of the art supplies and equipment donation from the family of Katie Foley. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And again, we thank them very much for their generosity. I'd like to move to approve NA4, approval of the corrective action plan as completed for the external audit as completed by Lumsden and McCormick. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve NA5, approval of the superintendent's goals, which we just reviewed again at the beginning of this meeting and executive session. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve NA6, approval of change order for Ferguson Electric. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve NA7, approval of municipal corporation to allow NYCLASS as an investment cooperative. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve NA8, approval of expenditure from the repair reserve. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. Moving on to pupil personnel, I'd like to move to approve MP1, recommendations for CSE placement and amendments. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve MP2, recommendations for CPSE placement and amendments. If I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Any opposed? So carried. And personnel consent agenda, if I may, I'd like to move to approve if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. And on that note, I would like to move to adjourn. Second. Everybody can second. All in favor? Yes. Any opposed to adjourning? So adjourned.
Our board meetings are so much more efficient without all the audience participation, but I missed that. So
I know, I do too.